learn. As I learned, we all learn podcasts coming 2022. So stay tuned, family.
All right. First, I want to say peace and Black African power. Welcome back to Kofi Paisai Research Team TV. I am Kofi Paisai. First, I want to say ETM Hotel, Dua Aku, Dua Necha, Fatmu Alafie, Fatmu Riwi, Fatmu Iwa Pele, Majuba Ibi Gungun, Majuba Ibi Gungun, Majuba Ibi Alakba, Majuba Ibi Lak Ba Igungun, Kiki Gungun. I always want to get honor and praises to the ancestors because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. I also would like to extend honor and praises to the true and living elders out there according to an African perspective and from an African world view. We always have to stress that over here, just because you're older than us does not make you our elder. So man, let's get into it. Like I said, we got another show. Brother Chavis, tp-Hsb, Awu, McCray will be going in, man. Please like and share the show. I'm finna try to go back and share the show too. But y'all, please like and share the show, man. Share the show with people that you think that may be interested in this information. You know, don't share if you don't think anybody going to, click the link or bother to click the link to go on. So please like and share the show.
Well, it should be something that's universal. So, if anybody interested in being scholarly or understanding how academia do things, it should be something that should be shared universally. So, do that. Go ahead, pile in, and make sure if you don't got your copy of Beautiful Lessons Kimoyo, get that. If you don't got your copy of What SARS CoV-2 taught me, go get that, and then go get mine. Religious Beliefs Revisited, tp-Hsb edition. But we're not gonna try to be too long. I'm gonna try to get straight to it. Let Sean, you got something to say? Just gonna let's get it.
Did you hear me?
So, you heard?
All right. Hold on. Let me mute myself.
Log in. Okay, a lesson in self-citation and self-plagiarism by Chavis tp-Hsb. Research question. What is a citation? What is a self-citation? Why do authors use self-citation? In what context is self-citation unethical? In what context are they normal? What is self-plagiarism? And how can writers avoid self-plagiarism? Hypothesis. I have hypothesized that self-citations are times when an author cites a previous work, whether it be from a book or a journal, to reference where the idea can originally be located. I'm going to assume via use of my context clues that self-plagiarism occurs as a result of not citing your previous work when you are writing your new work, trying to recycle your work without proper citation. A citation. A citation is the way you tell your readers that certain material in your work came from another source. It also gives your readers the information necessary to find the location details of that source on the reference or works cited page. A citation must include a set of parentheses. Self-citing. Self-citing is often frowned upon, being considered, and sometimes is, vanity, egotism, and an attempt in self-advertising. However, everyone self-cite because sooner or later, everyone builds upon previous findings. Given the cumulative nature of the production of new knowledge, self-citations constitute a natural part of communication process. That's the source on that. That's the video. I can't hear nothing.
Yeah, there's no volume coming from coming out, Sean.
I forgot my mic muted. Y'all can't hear nothing. All right, you should be able to hear it now. Let me know.
Sermon paper.
There we go. Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, you'll have 4 sources that are from the articles in class, and then you'll have 4 to 6 more that are either work from your own work from the class or outside research. So when you're citing yourself, this part would be what you would have on the works cited page, and it would be your last name, comma, first initial period, last initial or middle initial period. 2015, and then if you're using multiple pieces of work, you're going to start immediately by adding a letter. You'll go A, B, C, D, however many pieces of your own work that you have. Then you're going to do brackets, and in brackets, not parentheses. Inside the brackets is going to be the title of the assignment or the title of the paper, and that is what gets alphabetized. So if you have like your field placement journal number 1, field placement journal number 4, and then why I want to be a teacher, it would be field placement journal number 1, field placement journal number 4, and then why I want to be a teacher. So that would be how it gets alphabetized on the works cited page. Then there's a period here. Don't forget about that little guy. And then unpublished manuscript ending with a period. When you are citing your in-text citations, it'll be your last name, comma, and then 2015A, 2015B, whatever piece you're using. So if you're using field placement journal number 4 and it's 2015C, you would put Huffman, comma, 2015C. Any questions? If you are only using one thing of your own work, you don't have to do the letter, but it still has to be set up this way. But if you're using multiple pieces of work, and that, like, if you're using multiple things from field placement journal number 4, it's still just 2015A. You would cite the 2015A multiple times. And so also, if your Why Teach paper, obviously those things should have had the original title. So it's the title of the paper, not Why Teach paper. So let's say that your Why Teach paper was called Becoming a Teacher is Awesome. That's what you would put in the brackets. Got it? Okay, make it a great day.
First one, the second one.
There are rare occasions where Walden students might have the need to cite their previous work. These are rare situations that don't happen often, but in some cases, students receive permission from their faculty to use ideas or portions of their assignments from a previous course in their current course. Note here that you need to talk to your faculty about whether citing yourself is appropriate before doing so. Let's say that you did receive that permission and so in this situation, you need to cite your past writing as an unpublished manuscript. To do so, you'll list yourself as the author, include the year your past assignment was written. You'll then follow with the assignment's title, in sentence case and using italics, followed by the descriptor, unpublished manuscript, in brackets. You'll then end the entry with the publication element, which in this case includes your college and Walden University. Then, to cite yourself in the current paper you're writing, you'll include your last name and the year, like any other citation. And that's it. Now you know how to cite yourself in those rare situations where you have faculty approval to use your past writing in a current assignment.
Then just to put that in context, that's for a student. That's why they're saying it's rare, because there's issues sometimes taking the papers that you write in school and trying to use them elsewhere because it belongs to the school until you graduate or something like that. So it's real tricky with that. That's why they're saying it's rare for students. So be mindful of that. Next
Oh, hold up.
Can you cite yourself? If you cite or quote your previous work, treat yourself as the author and your own previous course work as an unpublished paper, as shown in the APA publication manual. If your original work contains citations from other sources, you will need to include those same citations in the new work as well, for APA.
one. Can't see the top. Okay, let me show you that's my screen. Hundreds of extreme self-citing scientists revealed a new database. Some highly cited academics seem to be heavy promoters, but researchers warn against policing self-citation. This is from Nature. This guy's name is Vaidin. It's an Indian dude, Vaidin Nathan, a computer scientist at Valtech Research and Development Institute of Technology, a privately run institute, is an extreme example. He has received 94% of his citations from himself or his co-authors up to 2017, according to a study in PLOS Biology this month. He is not alone. The data set, which lists around 100,000 researchers, shows that at least 250 scientists have amassed more than 50% of their citations from themselves or their co-authors, while the median self-citation rate is 12.7%. In 2017, he wrote that because research is a continuous process, the next work cannot be carried on without referring to the previous work, and that self-citing wasn't done with the intention of misleading others. Two other researchers who have gained plaudits and cite themselves heavily are Theodore Simos, a mathematician whose website lists affiliations at King Saud University and Riyadh Ural Federal University in Yekaterinburg, Russia, and Democritus University of Thrace in Komotini, Greece, and Claudio Suparan, a medicinal chemist at University of Florence, Italy, who also lists an affiliation at King Saud University. Both Simos, who amassed around 76% of his citations from himself or his co-authors, and Sopran 62%, were last year named on the list of 6,000 world-class researchers selected for their exceptional research performance. Produced by Clarivate Analytics, an information service firm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which owns Web of Science. This is more from the Nature's article. In Indonesian research ministry, which uses a citation-based formula to allocate funding for research and scholarship, said some researchers had gamed their scores using unethical practices, including excessive self-citation and groups of academics citing each other. The ministry said that it had stopped funding 15 researchers and planned to exclude self-citations from its formula. Although researchers tell Nature that it hasn't yet happened, in unpublished work, Elvira's Boz says that he has applied a similar analysis to a much larger data set of 7 million scientists, that is, all authors listed in Scopus who have published more than 5 papers. In this data set, Boz says, the median self-citation rate is 15.5%, but as many as 7% of authors have self-citation above 40%. This proportion is much higher than among the top scientists, because many of the 7 million researchers have only a few citations overall or are at the start of their careers. Early career scientists tend to have higher self-citation rates because their papers haven't had the time to amass many citations from others. See the youth effect. Next one is a screenshot of the youth effect chart. Early career scientists tend to have more self-citation rates, in part because their papers haven't had time to amass many citations from other researchers. And you see on the side, you have the median co-authors citation percent, then you have the years of author's first publication. And you see at first, it starts off in a certain way, then it takes off the more years. Next one. This is from COP, the Committee of Publication and Ethics. Citation manipulation. Citation manipulation refers to the following types of behavior: excessive citation of an author's research by author, i.e. self-citation by authors as a means solely of increasing the number of citations of the author's work, excessive citation of the articles from the journal in which the author is publishing a research article as a means solely of increasing the number of citations of the journal, excessive citation of the work or another author or journal, sometimes referred to as the honorary citation, e.g. the editor-in-chief of the journal to which one is submitting a manuscript, or a well-known scholar in the field of the researcher, or citation stacking solely to contribute to the citations of the author's journals in question. Citation manipulation is not a new phenomenon. As early as 1955, when Garfield originally wrote about a journal citation index that he subsequently developed in 1963, he warned about the potential abuse. The purpose of citation index is intended to be a measure of scientific innovation and quality. However, citation manipulation can occur in ways identified above which distort its original purpose and have been included solely as a mechanism of increasing citation. The result misrepresents the importance of the specific work and the journal in which it appears. The ability of citations to be manipulated has resulted in a more cautious approach to accepting the legitimacy of citation indexes as the most important and legitimate important indicator of the impact of scholarly publication. Citations are still, however, deemed to be an important and legitimate indicator of productivity by authors, editors, publishers, and institutions more generally, and particularly within some disciplines such as sciences. Further, researchers who publish in high impact factor journals, i.e., with high citation rates, are rewarded in their careers through promotion and through success with granting agencies. So that's where the ethical part comes in at. Legitimate reasons for self-citation. Author self-citation. While authors who self-cite their own work may be attempting to increase their citation rate artificially, there are good scholarly reasons for citing one's own previous work. The current manuscript, which is under review, may be on a continuum of a long-term program of research, and previous publications are relevant to understanding the history of the accumulated record. For further, not citing relevant previous works may result in allegations of self-plagiarism or redundant publications. The problem of the blunt tool of automatic calculation of excluding self-citation is that it doesn't permit a nuanced understanding of when self-citation makes good scholarly sense. Self-citation is the hallmark of productive authors of any gender. This is from PLOS Journal. We find that self-citation is the hallmark of productive authors of any gender who cite their novel journal publications early and in similar venues, and more often cross-citation barriers such as language and indexing. As a result, papers by authors with short, disrupted, or diverse careers miss out on the initial boost in visibility gained from self-citation. Our data further suggests that this disproportionately affects women because of attrition and not because of disciplinary under specialization. Fowler, this is a source that does self-citation pay. Fowler and Aksnes 2007 did another research on the Norwegian database, but this time it was author rather than publication oriented. The percentage of author self-citation was rather low, 11%, but every self-citation yielded an average of 3.65 citations from others in 10 years. Fowler and Aksnes concluded that self-citation advertises not only the article in question, but the author in question. In practical terms, this could mean that the author who managed it to fit in even one more self-citation per article will be much more better off years down the road than her colleague who didn't. The effect turns negative only in very high levels of self-citation, 40 to 50 a year. It seems that self-citation makes authors more visible. It's like with SAT preparation courses. It's not that you'll do better than the others if you take them. It's that you'll do worse than others if you don't take them. Because of this effect, Fowler and Aksnes suggest not only to remove self-citation from citation count, but to penalize them as well. However, this will hurt older and more productive scientists who cite more simply because they have more articles to cite and more publications where to cite them. Currently, every popular index has a version free of self-citations, but it seems that most people continue to factor them in. A self-citation is much more complex than it seems, says Vincent Leeuwen, an information scientist at the University of Montreal. This is the physics, says physics envy because of particle physics. and astrophysics have big consortia that publish multi-author papers which cite each other. They have the highest co-author self-citation rates, and it's just showing all the different disciplines. And where it says medium citation with that red line at, that's the normal line, and we see over that line nuclear and particle physics, astronomy and astrophysics, optics, general physics. Under that, we see surgery, we see general and journal medicine.
So you're saying that Neil deGrasse Tyson cites himself more than surgeons and general and internal medicine people?
I mean, based on the data that they collected, people in that field are doing just that. You know,
yeah. The field of astronomy and astrophysics cites their work more than any others.
Self-citing. They self-citing themselves. Yep. Self-plagiarism and how to define it and why to avoid it. What is self-plagiarism? Self-plagiarism is commonly described as recycling or reusing one's own specific words from previously published texts. While it doesn't cross the line of true theft or of others' ideas, it nonetheless can create issues in the scholarly publishing world. Beyond verbatim sections of text, self-plagiarism can also refer to the publication of identical papers in two places, sometimes called duplicate publications. Moreover, it is the best practice to cite your previous work thoroughly, even if you're simply revisiting an old idea or a previously published observation. In short, self-plagiarism is any attempt to take any of your own previously published papers or research and make it new. Attempts to make it new. So there's that. Self-plagiarism. Self-plagiarism is defined as a type of plagiarism in which the writer republishes a work in its entirety or reuses portions of a previously written text while authoring a new work. Writers often maintain that because they are the authors, they can use the work again as they wish. They can't really plagiarize themselves because they are not taking any words or ideas from someone else. But while the discussion continues on whether self-plagiarism is possible, the ethical issue of self-plagiarism is significant, especially because self-plagiarism can infringe upon a publisher's copyright. Traditional definitions of plagiarism do not account for self-plagiarism, so writers may be unaware of the ethics and laws involved in reusing or repurposing text. The American Psychological Association explains how plagiarism differs from self-plagiarism. Whereas plagiarism refers to the practice of claiming credit for the words, ideas, and concepts of others, self-plagiarism refers to the practice of presenting one's own previously published work as though it were new. As Roy suggests, self-plagiarism occurs when authors reuse their own previously written work or data in a new written product without letting the reader know that this material has appeared elsewhere. Roy identifies a few types of self-plagiarism: republishing the same paper that is published elsewhere without notifying the reader nor publisher of the journal, publishing a significant study of smaller studies to increase the number of publications rather than publishing one large study.
You're missing the bottom line.
I can't see the bottom line.
Reusing portions of a previously written or published or unpublished text. You can't see that?
Is it under? It must be under publishing a significant. What's called? I can't see it. It's the banner right there. That's all I see. Ethical issues of self-plagiarism. Publications manuals have a set standard regarding self-plagiarism. When an author publishes in a journal, the author often signs over the rights to the publisher. Thus, copyright infringement is possible if an author reuses portions of a previous published work. Copyright law protects original works of authorship. The the Chicago manual style provides the author's responsibilities in guaranteeing authorship. In signing a contract with a publisher or author, an author guarantees that the work is original, that the author owns it, that no part of it has been previously published, and that no other agreement to publish it or a part of it is outstanding. Authors can quote from portions of their works with paper citations, but large portions of text, even quoted and cited, can infringe on copyright and would not fall under copyright exceptions or fair use guidelines. The amount of text one can borrow under the fair use is not specified, but Chicago manual style gives a rule of thumb. One should never quote more than a few contiguous paragraphs or stanzas at a time, or let the quotations, even scattered, begin to overshadow the quoter's own material. The American Psychological Association suggests that the following regarding reusing one's own text. When duplication of one's own words is more extensive, citation of the duplicated words should be the norm and must conform to legal notions of fair use. The APA also gives some guidelines for writing practice. The general view is that the care of the new document must constitute an original contribution of the knowledge and only the amount of previously published material necessary to understand that contribution should be included, primarily in the discussion of theory and methodology. When feasible, all the author's own words that are cited should be located in a single paragraph or a few paragraphs with the citation at the end. If it's something under that, I can't see it. Avoiding self-plagiarism. Roy offers writers a comprehensive list of guidelines for avoiding plagiarism, four of which deal specifically with self-plagiarism as follows. Guideline 10, authors who submit a manuscript to the publication containing data, reviews, conclusions, etc. that have already been disseminated in some significant manner, e.g. published as an article in another journal, presented at a conference, posted on the internet, must clearly indicate to the editors and readers the nature of the previous dissemination. Guideline 11, authors of complex studies should heed the advice previously put forth by Angel and Ramel, 1989. If the results of a single complex study are best presented as a cohesive single whole, they should not be partitioned into individual papers. Furthermore, if there is any doubt as to whether a paper submitted for publication represents fragmented data, authors should enclose other papers published or unpublished that might be part of that paper under consideration. Similarly, old data that has been merely augmented with additional data points and that is subsequently presented as a new study is an equally serious ethical breach. Guideline 12, because some instances of plagiarism, self-plagiarism, and even some writing practices that might otherwise be acceptable, e.g. extensive paraphrasing or quoting of key elements of a book, can constitute copyright infringement. Authors are strongly encouraged to become familiar with the basic elements of copyright law. Guideline 13, while there are some citations where text recycling is an acceptable practice, it may not be so in other situations. Authors are urged to adhere to the spirit of ethical writing and avoid reusing their own previously published text unless it is done in a manner consistent with the standard scholarly conventions, e.g. by using quotations and proper paraphrasing. So there's some allegations of excessive self-citations come from Fukia are nonsensical. As we can see, he cites himself in a particular text that has been taught for a couple of weeks 4 times, and they are all from different journals, different works. So it was necessary for him to cite himself. If we understand how scholarly writing is, if you said something in the past, you are obligated to cite it, especially if it is published where other people can read it. You have to do it. So if anyone is trying to minimize his work by saying, oh, he cites himself or anyone else for that matter, basically what you're demonstrating is you don't participate in scholarly writing. You don't understand the process. You're just basically a spectator. So it would behoove you to educate yourself and edify yourself into this practice before you draw any conclusions. Conclusion. Citations refer you to where a person got some information from. A citation, an instance where you have to quote or cite. A self-citation is an instance where you have to quote or cite previous works of yours. Self-plagiarism is when you don't give this quote or citation from your previous work and try to pass it off as what you're currently writing as something new. The reason this is of significance is because of copyright laws that you may infringe upon unknowingly by not properly citing yourself. This occurs normally in academia. Heavy citations of oneself occurs in physics and other areas, not just by alleged fringe authors trying to create a cloak of credibility. Before one draws any conclusions on citation, one must make themselves familiar with the scholastic and academic writing protocol. And I think the next one is my sources. Yep. And that is it. People, is there any questions? Or?
I got a question. So what made you do this? Be real.
What made me do this was a conversation. Well, really, I heard. Conversations with but it was more for me. Conversations in chat from people I see making allegations and trying to characterize Fouquier. They disrespecting him. They didn't turn his name to some type of cuss word. I don't know. They doing that, and then they just trying to minimize his overall work in general, and seemingly don't participate in the field of scholarship. So, and it was just pretty much something I feel like I guess people didn't know, because I brought this to someone's attention, and then they told me that I made it up.
Who was someone?
This someone's gonna be Ankh. He told me I made it up, and this is on the phone call.
Well, I mean, so that bring me up to speed. So, was it you can't citate your own self? That's what that what the issue was. You cannot cite your own self.
What is, from what I'm interpreting, is excessive citation was an issue, and what his example that he used was someone like Dr. York, who writes a whole bunch of nonsense, but has a bunch of work. So you know, I guess is trying to build credibility with it. But I had to explain to him, like, regardless of whatever he's trying to prove, at least he took the effort to cite himself to where you could go back and see where he got it from and really tear it up if necessary, because he did that. But there's I guess some kind of sentiment in the community on social media where if you cite yourself excessively, like you're some type of, I guess, fringe scholar, or but you have certain people who do this, but the reality is it's a part of scholarship. You have to do it whether you're a student, whether you're making up stuff in books or whatever. If you made it up in your other book and you didn't talk about it, you still got to cite it. There's no way around it.
Yeah,
It's a reality.
Yeah, it's no way around it. I cited myself in an article I published. When you producing something all the time, when you're producing something, you don't like when with our books, we produce books. I mean, we cite the information. We have the citations at the bottom, but we also don't just citate information. We bring you our own, our own information, our own research, our own conclusion on certain things on the topic. I know I do it all the time. When I give my opinion, I write and I say, this is my opinion. This is no one's opinion but mine. I believe such and such due to the research that I did, the steps that I took, you know what I'm saying? And this is the cause of that, and the third. So if I'm talking about a specific topic, or I've written about something, I'm gonna cite myself if it's in my own words. If it's something that I wrote in my book and it's in my own words, and I begin to write something else in that said subject, or I'm touching on something, particularly dealing with something I'm writing, I'm definitely gonna cite myself. I'm gonna cite myself where I got. I mean, the book, as the steps they showed a while ago. Your name, your last name, middle name, your first name, the date that you, whatever whatever date what you're citing was published, the works, you know what I'm saying, and et cetera. I mean, we learned this in school. Well, I know I definitely learned it in college, writing papers and stuff. Huh?
No, I'm saying, because that's where, like, when I started the online school, that's before they even let you take any courses, you have to do a whole course in APA citations and practicing in-text APA citation, learning what they are, learning the MLA, just learning how to find the information in a internet article, whether you got to find all that. You have to do this. You know what I'm saying? No matter whether you cite in Wikipedia, whether you cite in YouTube, you have to gather the information and put it in the right places. Otherwise, you ain't properly citing it, and you can get hit with plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
And in school, you get hit with plagiarism, you can get put out, or you'll catch a goose egg on whatever assignment. Because now they got stuff where they could just scan your whatever you submit, and if you got a certain amount, it's gonna pop up that this comes from that. You know what I'm saying? If you don't cite it, that's a 0.
Mm-hmm. The program that we use do the same thing. You can put your work in there, and if it's not properly cited, it'll let you to come back and say it's plagiarism. What's that we use, man, when we organizing our citations, and putting them in the correct format? Sean, what's
MLA?
MLA. Yep, MLA. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I ain't hop off. I switch.
Oh, you switch to what's called.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one to use for people that trying to make sure that their citations is on point, you know what I'm saying, and formatted right. We use that one a lot, but you can submit your own information in there. I like it because you can submit your information. It'll let you know if you plagiarizing or not, or you got your stuff properly cited. So we try to when we write, and we try to do our best with that, with the citations. You know what I'm saying? Citing the information in the chapters, and putting the sources and the citations in the back of the book, in the correct format it's supposed to be in. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with citing your own, citing your own self. But that's one when it comes to being a producer. Some people think and it done been brought to my attention. I know someone that said this like quite a few times, like it's nothing, it's nothing to write in a book. You know what I'm saying? Always nothing to put in a book together. All you doing is regurgitating other people's information. You know what I'm saying? But and I heard of people say that a couple of times, but no, that's not, that's not what we do. People that got our books, that we cite people information because we do research, so we get information, and we know how to do our own research, you know what I'm saying, as well. So we not just, the book is not full of citations from somewhere else. It's our own thoughts, you know what I'm saying? It's our own hypotheses, our own conclusions, our own opinions based off the necessary steps that we taking. So it's nothing wrong if you writing something, whether it's a journal, it's an article, or a book, or a pamphlet, and it is something in your own words. There's nothing wrong with citing, citing your own self. And
I want to clear something. No, go ahead.
Oh no. I'm good. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. So I want to go back to what you just said about some people say we're just regurgitating information.
Mm-hmm.
In the field, in any scientific field, it's a regurgitation of information. That is how the knowledge is advanced. That's how you advance knowledge. So somewhere in the conversation of informing people or educating people, right? These articles, these journals, all of that, they're citing other information and other scientific studies that exist. So it's not going to be like and let me give you an example, right? So let's say that I'm reading an article out of NPR. Inside of NPR's article, they're talking about information, a study that was done by, and it was published in the Lancet. Now, the article that was published in the Lancet, the research for that information comes out of some people that did this actual research that published it elsewhere. They just submitted it for it to be reviewed or peer reviewed and then approved and then approved. So when people talk about like the understanding the regurgitation, you have to realize, right, that there's a different level when you say regurgitation, and then there's information that you're building on. So I can cite a source and I'm like, yeah, I'm basically telling you that I'm regurgitating this information that was published in the Journal of Nature. However, by my own research, this is what I've come to the conclusion on based on this, and this on a collective body of studies. So people don't really know how to actually properly use it. This is not a negative thing to regurgitate something. It's a negative thing in our community because we have people that's regurgitating the same thing over and over and over and over and over again that they got from one person. You know what I mean? This is not a body of knowledge that's being built on. This is a regurgitation of misinformation that is being spread in the community. That's two different things. So when people say, yeah, you just using this or that, first of all, you let me know you don't know anything about research methodology or source criticism or how to actually properly cite a source or build on a body of knowledge, because not everybody that's publishing these journals are in on the research. When I played the presentation the other day on my show with the doctor told everybody our research. So independently, they did their own research. He called it our own biased research. And then he said our non-biased research was funded by, and then he stated who it was funded by, which allowed them the ability to be able to do what? The research. But it was published. It was published by their own journal, like the journal through Washington or something like that, and then it ends up in 2 other places, and then it correlates with source data from the damn CDC studies. So this let me know, man, how far people going with this information. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it like that. I'm not trying to be an asshole or arrogant, but you know, people just really ain't up on game on how to actually properly do this thing for real. You know what I'm saying? They have problem like these people are self-citing the heck out of their own works because that's where it comes from. When we get, for instance, and I hate hogging the mic, but when we get into COVID and we get to talking about the pandemic and we get to talk about all the stuff that's happened, that stuff was published somewhere first. I mean, it was actually researched somewhere first. Then it was submitted, and then it was a critiqued, approved, and published, and then it ends up in the CDC studies. It ends up in the Lancet. It ends up in Nature. It ends up in all these different places. New England Journal of Medicine. You know what I mean? But you go look at the sources, and you see, oh, okay, so here's the author of this particular study. And I mean, what's wrong with that? And then you have this author do a lecture or write another article, and he'll reference research that he done. So I'm gonna give you one more. This is the dagger right here, Chavis. So you remember when we talked about the origins of the virus?
Right.
All right. So in there, I believe, I can't think of his name right now because I'm not at home and I'm thinking too much. But I think his name was Robert. He ended up on the show with
Robert Gary. Yeah, Robert Gary.
There you go.
Yeah.
Boom, Robert Gary. All right, so yeah, I just couldn't think about his last name, but I knew his first name was Robert. However, if you read Robert Gary's work, guess who he's citing in his work?
Who?
Himself.
Yeah, because he did that work in virology. You know what I'm saying? He got it. Like what I say, this is by default, man. You when you building on work, you have to cite yourself. Mm-hmm. Whenever you write anything, you just gotta cite it. If you're gonna talk about it again,
yep,
that's just the protocol, man. Like that's why
but guess what?
Understand.
Here go the other dagger. Got the goddamn source because I gave it to him. I mean Bobby. My bad, Bobby.
We said it's Bobby. I got it, Bobby.
My bad, Bobby. But this what I mean. Like when you cause petty ass arguments, and you just worry somebody's phone out 8 hours a day, you know what I'm saying? You got to be ready to bag that shit up.
But y'all stop.
What? I ain't doing nothing, bro. I ain't doing nothing. I'm just telling you.
Sprinkling sauce, man. You not he ain't calling it like that. We just have a look everyone.
Nah, I ain't putting no sauce on that, bro. How long y'all been arguing about this topic?
For like 3 days.
How many days? I don't think the people heard you in the back.
Like 2-3 days, man.
About self-citation and self-plagiarism.
Yeah, because I brought it up and OG told me, you made that up. You made that up, yo. So what's up? I said, I know who you talking to, man. You talking to the wrong guy. I am Mr. Give you a source in 2 seconds, man. I don't say nothing that I can't back up. I don't like making stuff up. That's not a part of my character.
Hey, look in the chat. Just look in the chat though. Look in the chat. Look at Pure Black comment.
What he said?
Look at why the hell he can't cite himself. It's his work, bro. He's referring to his work. That's his body of knowledge. That's his contribution to the conversation. How he can't do that? Please tell me how Reggie can't do that.
I mean, how come he wrote? If he right, what the hell?
That's right. I mean, that's right.
That's how you know where he needs to be. You know what I'm saying? Stay in your lane, man. When you're not writing, you don't understand it. You can't tell somebody that's actually doing something. You don't even understand the base. This is the bias.
This is the bias, bro. This is
I'm
the
saying
bias.
you have an anti-scholastic bias right now, because this is basic scholarship to know that you have to have a citation, and that it's like I don't even think people are clear on what it is. Why I had to do that shit. Like, I don't think you understand what a citation is. We need to. I guess we got to start here, and and hopefully some other people may not know, because it's that sentiment. It picks up, and other people start parroting it. When I heard one, I thought this dude was scientifically literate. You gonna say something like that? Oh, you must don't participate in the writing process. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, a
There's
lot
no
of
way.
people, but a lot of people may not know. Like I'm saying, we know because we do a lot of writing. You know what I'm saying? We do a lot of writing. I mean, we started out doing articles and transitioned from articles to journals, and journals to books. So we understand the importance of citations. We know what a citation is. We know how to properly citate, format a citation. So a lot of this stuff, I mean, we know, but even if we didn't know, like a lot of us been to college. So, when you go to college, man, you got to write papers. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of papers that you got to write. So a lot of this stuff is being taught to you while you was in school. But even if you didn't go to college, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's
You
good.
read books. They in all the books that any kind of. He's reading the virology book. In that virology book, guaranteed the citations all through there. I bet he ain't go through there and see who was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but certain people don't go and look in the, go and look in the book. That's why last week I gave an example of what I do before I read a book. You know what I'm saying? I go look at the sources in the back of the book. I go look at the citations in the back of the book. I look up the author before, if I'm not familiar with the author, I look up the author because I want to know who is it, who piece of literature
Who
this
is
is.
coming from?
Right. You know what I'm saying? What the citations gonna let me know something too. Know a little something else about the author when I go look at the citations in the back of the book, and if I see something, I might, okay, well shit, this might be biased, you know what I'm saying, by looking at some of the citations in the back of the book. Oh, he cited his.
I be trying to go see. I be trying to go see if they even said what they said. That's the real part. You want to go back and go see, is this person's properly, you know what I'm saying? Is he got this in the right context? Is he, or is this verbatim? Is he paraphrasing? Is he sprinkling sauce? This is how we know. This is how we're able to go back check and go fact check somebody.
Yep. Definitely is. Yep.
You got to have a proper research methodology in order to understand what the hell you're talking about. You can't dumb down scholarship to your level. It doesn't work like that. Scholarship does not meet you where you are. Scholarship raises the bar. Scholarship challenges your ignorance. You have
you can't
to
get
do
your
the
PhD.
work.
You gotta do all. You're right. You can't. They gonna challenge you, man. It's no way around that. Science challenges you. Somebody gonna always challenge. But they need you to cite it right though. Because if you don't, what are you doing? You're plagiarizing. So it's that simple, man. But like you gotta. If you don't know what you're talking about, if you don't participate, you really can't make these calls. You gotta sit down. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead, sit on the bench, sit this out, pass somebody else a towel. You know what I'm saying? Give them some water or something. That's what you can do. You feel me? It's all right to be that dude.
Don't understand how science works. You
But they
don't
scientifically literate.
understand. You
You can't be
don't
scientifically
understand how
literate
to
and not
advance.
understand science work.
No,
That's
you
oxymoronic.
don't understand how science. Look, I'm talking slow. You don't understand how science works. Therefore, you can't come to the conclusion and try to project your ignorance on someone who knows how science works. how the discussion is supposed to go, how we can come to an honest conclusion, how to properly cite your sources, how to actually write a book, how to actually review a video and pull and extract claims. It's a methodology to all the crap that we're talking about. To avoid that methodology and project your ignorance on something shows a lack of scientific integrity. Period. And that's no shade, that's just the facts.
Nah, you spot on though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I wholeheartedly agree too. I mean, I just wholeheartedly agree, man. I mean, we just got to do better. I think we just got to just keep reinforcing it. Keep talking about it. You know what I'm saying? So, so people can get it, man. You know what I'm saying? Because we're trying to, teach the people, proper research. A lot of people don't know, how to actually research. They really don't know, man. So I think we just got to keep continuing to beat the steps, man, into their head to everybody get it.
They gotta stop taking it personal though. When we you know what I'm saying, when we catch something crazy come out, and you know what I'm saying, like it ain't personal, bro. It ain't never personal with me. I just don't like silliness. I might get loud and all that, but it is not personal, kid. It's just I don't like my intelligence being played with. Don't insult mine, you know what I'm saying, just because you struggling with whatever you got going on. But I don't have that issue.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, you know what I'm saying? I have a very, very good comprehension. And, you know what I'm saying? I also know how to recognize those that don't. And sometimes, like Sean said, it's the bias that gives people the misunderstanding. They don't know this stuff out here called psychological priming. You know what I'm saying? And schemas, and this is all psychology. It's all based on your beliefs and prejudice is where you say a bunch of silliness that don't make sense. Because you know what I'm saying, disabusing your personal pseudos on live camera and whatnot. That's why I agree with some when they say do it at home. Don't do it on the camera.
Right. So your objective of your presentation was to show and prove that you can cite your own self. Right.
That's it. That's correct. And hopefully, that was demonstrated. I'm pretty sure, like, I ain't make nothing up. So it's heavily cited. Heavy citations, you know what I'm saying? So they can argue with the source. Don't argue with me.
Right. I was gonna say, so now they can't argue with you, can't have an issue with you. They gotta have an issue with with those sources that you cited, right? They're gonna have an issue with those, right? So now they're gonna have to go and comb through those.
Did Sean put them in the description?
I don't even know. Sean, you still on? Sean probably jumped out of the car. He said he went at the house. Hold on, I can look on here and tell you.
All right, here, what's up?
He put them sources in the description?
Yes, they're in the description.
Oh, okay.
All right, so if anybody has any problems, you go through there. No, don't call my phone. Don't call my phone. I need you to go through all of them first and beat each one of them up. Dismiss them, but you're going to have a hard time because you're arguing with scholarship. You're arguing with academia that y'all supposed to, be on the consensus of and whatnot. So that's where you
argue
put
with
them
the
all in there.
experts that you claim that you introducing to people.
Oh man, that's not what they're doing. It can't be that. Can't be
I'm
that.
just following the rules, bro.
I got a question though before we go. With that what? So how do you know? That the experts is right? Like I'm saying, so yeah, how do you know that the experts are right? Like
Well, what I usually do
we say
is,
that we say that we let the experts deal with it, right? So how do we know if the experts are right? How do we know that the expert is not lying? How do we know that the expert didn't have a bias? So how do we know if they're right?
for me, my answer to that is I personally try to educate myself in the area enough to where I can recognize certain things that don't make sense. And if I can't do that, I go, if one person says something, I go see how many other people are saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And why they're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if that lines up, okay, well, he probably saying the right thing, unless I come across some that makes more sense. Somebody that has more evidence that disproves that.
Right.
If I don't have no evidence,
So
you know.
So you combing through numerous sources on the matter. You trying to see what the consensus is on this said subject, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. And then, like I say, but the main thing that you have to do is you
You
have
want me
to
to tell you what I
educate
do?
yourself in the area. What
Mm-hmm.
you
You
do,
want me
Sean?
I do. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna tell you what I do. So if I can't grasp it, I look for the easiest solution for answers. When I start researching shit, I go look for people who argue against the information that I'm researching. When I see that there's not that many that's actually arguing against that point, then I change the whole narrative of it all. And then I go back into the work and then I start trying to pull apart it to see if it aligns with prior research. And then I look at the rest of the field of experts and see how they're looking at that work and how they perceive it. Because I want to know if I'm doing some work, I want to know how close I am to grasping what I'm attaining. Right? So hold on, let me take his mask off. All right, so for instance, we're looking at a study. You got 48,000 people a part of a study. I said 48. So 24,000 people you got in the placebo group, and the other 24,000 you got in the vaccine group. All right. Now, if they give me statistics or data like that, I can extract that data for myself and figure out the math on how they got to the efficacy rates per the vaccine and per the placebo group when it comes to how many people was infected and vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I take that same data and I apply that to another trial. And then I see if that trial data aligns with the previous data that I read, meaning the CDC study, the Journal of Nature, a published study from the UK, South African study, you know what I mean? Who else? The India study, and then the US study. I'm looking at those 4 studies, and I'm looking to see how many people was in those studies, how many got the placebo, how many got the vaccine, and what the data's correlating to, and what are they testing against, and all of that. And if I, me myself, personally, if I find like, hold up, they got this here, they got this here, they got that there, then I start to look at it and I want to question the validity of their work again. So I'm gonna give you an example. The Israel study, right? Earlier on in the Israel was doing shit that other people wasn't doing. And people was trying to figure out why Israel's data was looking the way that it did. And people was basing their conclusions off of the Israel study. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was very simple on how Israel came to get to a position to where it was. They're only using 2 vaccines. One is Pfizer, and then the other one is like that AstraZeneca or whatever it was that they was using. But it's 2 vaccines. Where in the US and in other parts of the UK and things like that, they're using Moderna, they're using Pfizer, and then they're using AstraZeneca. But only in the US, we're using 3. We're using Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer. So I'm looking at specifically if I want to limit my research to one particular vaccine that I want to correlate the data to, I got to use the Israel studies Pfizer data. I got to use the US studies Pfizer data. I got to use the UK Pfizer data and India Pfizer data. All that shit got to align. All of it. Like, this is where the work come in at. Like, you just can't accept these experts' words, because if you do, you're gonna end up like the session you did with what's his name? Budge. Finding Budge's errors and then cleaning that stuff up. Or like a start. Go ahead, go.
No, I was just going. You keep going. I was just saying he was the top expert at one time, wasn't he? That's who everybody was quoting. Our favorite conscious community scholars was quoting Budge, right?
Yeah.
The expert.
A lot of them was quoting Budge. Just like a lot of them was quoting Gerald Massey. And look at the mess Gerald Massey gets us in. The same mess that what's her name? The lady, the pseudo lady, the Rosicrucian.
Oh, you
Madam Blavatsky.
Yeah, Madam Blavatsky.
Listen, it's a pattern. It's a pattern. These are the same people that can lead us astray, right? So what you have to do is you have to go in and extract that information. Like, we couldn't take Robert Garrity's work on, now, peep this. We couldn't take Robert Garrity's work on the origins of the virus and just accept it. What was so substantial about Garrity's work is that not only did his research team find data about the lineage lines, the stuff was also researched independently and brought forward by the WHO. You see what I'm saying? So you had independent research, and then you had what we want to call bias. You had bias and non-biased research, because you also had the Chinese saying, we ain't create crap in no lab. That stuff come from somewhere else. But then you find evidence of that by doing the work. Now, will we ever find the actual true origins of it? We're 2 years removed from it, but they're still trying to do the work to hash out specific locations. But they have pinpointed 5 of the areas where these lineage lines all come in and head toward the lab and not away from the lab. So that's evidence of that. But man, I mean, you got to do that work like that. You know what I'm saying? Like when you get into evolution, bro, true story. When you get into evolution, you can't read one book. You got to keep on reading till you see all of that stuff come out. Then you got to go look at the sources. Then you got to go look at the sources. Then you got to keep on doing all of that until you find that light bulb that goes off in your head to let you know, like, you're on the right path. Then you start extracting it. Then you can build on that knowledge. You can't simply dismiss, right? You can't dismiss an author or a source, and you just can't accept the author or a source. You have to do a source critique to get to the end all be all, or that medium to where you are, until there's evidence that moves you off of that. That's why you can't marry the information.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But you know, I'll say it all that because it's a lot going into. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. I was saying I saw crazy.
Oh yeah, and because I wanted to bring that out because, I mean, I just wanted people to know that you just can't, when people say they let the experts deal with it, at times, how do you know if the people are telling the truth? So how do you determine what this person or whoever says this is the expert, or how do they come to their conclusion? Is what they saying is actually true? Is what they saying is actual factual? You know what I'm saying? So it's steps. It's a method into it. So I wanted to kind of, y'all to share that with the the people that that's listening, because that's very, very, very important. You know what I'm saying? Because we in the past have made a lot of errors, letting the so-called experts, and then when rigorous research was applied, the same people or the people that we looked up regurgitated these experts, you know what I'm saying, wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I just wanted to bring that out, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to do more. So when it comes to this, it's some work. You can't skip any steps, man. There's nowhere around it. You're gonna have to read. You're gonna have to work. It's just nowhere around it. And if you're gonna be in the field of scholarship, be in the field of critiquing information, be in the field of teaching, you know what I'm saying, be in the field of revealing the truth or whatever, there's steps that you must take. You know what I'm saying? It's no ifs, it's work that you have to put in. You know what I'm saying? It's reading that you're gonna have to put in. It's just a lot of work, man, that goes behind doing a lot of this stuff, man. But I know a lot of people, man, they, you know what I'm saying, they just lazy. They're just not gonna go and I'm just saying this in general. I'm not directing this toward nobody, but I'm just saying it's just a lot of work going into it, and a lot of people just, you know what I'm saying, just ain't willing to put in the time or effort to do it. I'm just being real with it.
That's honesty. Because it's, even when you say you're not sending it to one person, it's not just that one person. It's more than just that one. It's a problem. We think that we could competently assess things using other people. No, you have to learn. You gotta have an understanding of yourself first. That's the main thing. And like you say, you get that through them steps. You gotta have some type of methodology. You can't just be, oh, that sounds crazy, because that's logically flawed. That's it appeal to incredulity. You can't dismiss things because they go against your belief. Because it's crazy. Like, you'll talk about a Christian doing that, but then you'll have people that's atheists doing it. So it's interesting. This is how I know it's something it's in your mind. It's how your mind works. And you gotta, if you don't understand psychology, you ain't gonna even be able, you just looking from one aspect. You gotta participate. If you were a Christian, you already know that. So you not being biased. You know what I'm saying? If you was strictly scientific and you had some questions about Africa, but then you know what I'm saying, came into some understanding, you can't be being biased because you looking at it from both sides.
So how do you know what I'm saying, one removes bias, man? How do one remove bias when they're going into to research?
I mean, being objective, you got to go off the facts. You got to the first thing I believe is you have to first recognize your own bias in order to, you know what I'm saying, get back to get to not utilize it. You have to recognize it first. Then once you get an understanding and once you recognize it, you stay away from it. You know what I'm saying? You judge things based on not looking at it through that perspective. You just try to be as objective as possible. That means just not going off your feelings. You're going off of what the data says, right. What's the evidence says, what's available to you.
Right.
And it's okay. Some things you just not gonna know, and that's all right, because nobody knows everything. With the stuff that we do know, we know these things.
Yep, definitely. I mean, you definitely got to check yourself, because I'll be honest with you. I had some bias, you know what I'm saying? Through my journey, you know what I'm saying? And I had to check my own, I had to check my bias. And, whatever the data say, that's just what I got to go with. I can't make it up. I can't lie. I can't just go and try to find something to fit, you know what I'm saying, fit what, to fit my bias, you know what I'm saying, to coincide with my bias, I got to go with what the data. But I mean, but once you know how to, properly research, you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, you just definitely got to put your bias to the side. I know it had been a point where, with my bias, I end up getting my feelings getting my feelings hurt. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking a particular way, and I'm like, nah, it ain't gonna be nothing to go against, what what I'm thinking or believing at this time, or what I come across, and shit, I end up getting my feelings hurt. But I gotta present what the data say, and like you said, reading multiple things and looking at the consensus, you know what I'm saying, on both sides. So I'm looking at both sides. I'm not looking at one side that feeds my bias, but I'm looking at both sides. Then I'm making a judgment off of the consent of the consensus of work. So, but yeah, you definitely, you know what I'm saying, God, I definitely agree with you, man, on that. Recognizing, first recognizing you have a bias. Yep.
Like I told y'all, the hardest book for me to write was the book on Islam. The hardest book.
Mm-hmm.
The
And
hardest.
I commend you, brother. I commend, and I keep saying that I commend, because I don't know if I could have did it. I don't know if I could have did it. I probably would have slammed the book, burned the books, threw the books in the garbage can, stomped on the books.
Look how many books I bought that was revolving around the subject matter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
And people don't do that. You see what I'm saying? Like, I invested in books about some stuff that I ain't even agree with from the beginning. And people don't even appreciate like stuff like that. Like really, like, yo, like Islam. I had to remove all biases. I had to look at this thing, and I had to try to romanticize. I had to try to love it, right? I had to try to love it like it was my first time ever seeing it before or hearing about it, and not utilizing none of the stuff. Like nothing else mattered. I don't care nothing about no NOI, none of them, none of that stuff. I had to go to the root of that thing and be like, you know what? Let me fall in love with it. And where it take me, it take me. And then I just let it be. I let it guide like that throughout the book. I let it guide through the book, and then when I get to what's that boy name, man, I had to let him have it because he romanticized the hell out of Islam. The Moorish dude. What's his name?
I don't know.
Abba Dabba Doo. Abba.
You talking about Lord Abba?
I had to deal with Lord Abba.
Yeah, he made some claims.
Yeah. But that's how you got to do it. And I understand, listen, we're a team, right? We're a team, right?
Right.
And we all have these different fields that we like to study.
Right.
And then we got fields that we coexist with, where we pretty much on the same field with that information.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, me, you, and Satep and Ra on the Spills book, volume 4, all had the same thought process going into that work. Yep. Well, not me per se in my chapter, but when it came to like the introduction, I think it might have been volume 3.
Yeah, that was volume 3. That was volume 3.
We all had the same idea. We wanted to talk about the spill and how it evolved and all of those things. And I told them, well, I'm writing mine a little bit different than how you gonna write yours, but there's 3 different perspectives about the damn spill in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all because we was using all different kind of sources.
Right.
So that goes to show, right, how we try to move the needle, move the conversation, show early man, show the importance of them in their environment and doing what they're trying to do to survive and evolve as a people and how we get to where we are today. But you know what I mean? Like it's things like that, like that take research, that take time, that take cohesiveness. But my point of that is saying is that when you have a team, you can cover more ground because your intricate focus can be in a particular area. So if the argument is about A, then we all can do sub arguments about A. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And then when we come together, Voltron, we discuss the overall A. And then our body of information that we research that helps us advance the conversation.
Yeah.
Gonna be way more solid too. That's why it advanced.
Zion says, question, how do you verify information that you don't like? All right, so when you're dealing with Islam, right, it's a lot of romanticism in it, you know, a whole lot of romanticism in it. Allah the Merciful is everything in Islam. So no matter what, no matter who the author is, these Arabs are going to make you fall in love with Allah, the Magnificent, the Benevolent. They're going to do that. So how do you falsify that? It's a belief. You can't falsify it. But you have to extract what you're writing about in a perspective to be able to argue it in a matter that which people can understand it, because it ain't even about the intricate. It's not about their belief at that point. It's the historical perspective of the evolution and spread of Islam. How did it spread? Where did it come from? Right? You got to ask yourself the right questions in order to research it properly, in order to deal with that type of information. But it takes that. Like, if you don't like something, bro, I suggest you study that which you don't like. It's going to piss you off while you studying it. You're going to get bored. You're going to be reading. You're going to get tired. You're going to get exhausted. You're going to be like, I don't even want to read this. You're going to force yourself to be reading it. And then you got to go back and be like, hold up, what did this just say? Like I'm telling y'all, that was the hardest reads for me. That by far. Reading the Macadama by Khaldun, that was hard. Reading the early corpuses, that was tough, because inside those corpuses you extract the Arab ignorance about who you are as a people and who your ancestors were to them. You see that in their writings, how they talk about you. So they belittle you the whole entire time, and then they talk about how magnificent Islam is. It says, "Ha, the many names of Allah." Yeah, so it's kind of crazy, but yeah, that was tough, bro. It was tough. What else he said? Hey, look what he said. He said that's because he didn't have his third eye.
Oh man, oh, crazy, man.
Right. Leave it up to the side.
Yeah.
Leave it up to the side, man.
But that was a good question, though, brother Zane. That was a good question. That's pseudo to say. I'm just playing, bro. For real though, I may not do as much to make the research, but certain information I won't prove. Yep, but shoot, man, I ain't got nothing else, man. Got nothing else.
Me neither. We can cut it down.
Good presentation, man. Y'all go back and review the presentation that Brother Chavez did on self-plagiarism and self-citations. And like your brother, he said, if you don't take the issue up with him, go take the issue up with the sources. Go argue with the sources. So, shoot, that's all. I mean, if that's it, man, we gonna Well, I'll let them pull the
That's it.
plug. I'll let Chavis and Sean pull the plug on it, man.
Nah, bro, you can end the show, bro. You gonna have to end. I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
Okay,
Roll
then.
up. Roll up.
I'm
All
walking.
right, man. Well, shoot, we said, well, I said ETM Hotep in the beginning, which means bring forth peace. So now I'll say Shemim Hotep, which means to depart in peace. Again, appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate the support, man. And Sean finna take out his Shih Tzu to take a
He call that nigga that shit.
Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Look what he doing.
Yeah, they're gonna piss on you. That's how you see how he lift his leg right there. This is that tree. This tree right here, y'all. This is the coffee bush. Look at all that piss on the coffee bush.
He disrespected, man. He said, you heard me talking about it.
Hey, we pissing on him. Piss on him again, Tyson.
Yeah, man. But yeah, man, y'all go out, man, and support all the various works that we get out. Go get the Spearmasters Institution Learning Coloring book. Go get the Spearmaster Comprehension book 1. Go get Beautiful Lessons about Kimoyo. Go get Religious Belief Revisited. Go get What SARS COVID-2 taught me.
Look, he pissing again. Look
at
go
get all of it. Go get all of it. Look at it. Look at lazy self lazy. But man, we out of here, man. Peace, man. We gone, y'all.
All right.